a civil war, and it can't as long as we're there. I mean, if we pulled out of Afghanistan, these guys are killing one another. I get letters from missionaries over there. You know, I mean, the church is underground in Afghanistan. There's no freedom yet. But they say if the British and the Americans pull out, we're dead. It's the only thing that's holding some kind of peace together. Then they talk about Islam as peace. Islam has been in Afghanistan for how many centuries? A lot of centuries. And they haven't brought peace yet. Islam hasn't brought peace between the Sunnis and the Shia. So let the world see. Let them see in Palestine, I mean in Gaza. Let them see what happens. They're fighting one another in the streets. Let them see the truth. And part of it, you know, on the one hand, you could say, well, Israel, you just gave them another base, you know, to launch their missiles against you, and now they can reach Tel Aviv and so forth. And on the other hand, Israel maybe is saying, let them stew in their own juice. We've pulled out. What are they going to do? They can't collect the garbage. They can't do anything. Now, Walid is saying that Iran is going to finance all of this. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I don't think criminals finance one another. Maybe they will. What do you think?
Well, they're already financing them.
Yeah, for terrorism. But are they going to help them make their government work?
Well, they don't want that.
They're not interested in a working government. They're interested in a revolutionist, Islamic revolution propaganda throughout the whole world. But to add some of what you're saying regarding peace, Islam is peace when the whole world becomes Muslim. And the other thing, it was one Palestinian guy was arguing, and my friend asked him a question. He says, excuse me, what are you fighting there over the situation of Israel? What's the war about? He says, it's about land. We want our land back. The Israelis took our land. And he says, okay, if the Jews of Israel convert to Islam, will you still be fighting over that land? He says, of course not. He says, then it's not an issue of land, is it? It's an issue of Jews living in that land. If they become Muslim, then the battle is over. So it's not a battle over land. It's a battle over an ideology, and that is Islamism.
That's right.
Battle of religions.
That's right.
I wonder when our U.S. government is going to admit to the same thing you just said.
Well, when they're hit with a dirty bomb. And as I said, most of the Christian America lives in the suburbs, thank God, you know, far away from the main cities. That's why I don't live in the main city. I live in a suburb far away from the main cities. And if that happens, well, there's a curse, but there's a blessing. Then the Christians will be able to vote the right thing, what to do. Then what's the right thing to do is we take them out now. Churchill in the parliament was arguing over this issue of Hitler, the issue over the Munich Accord, the Munich Peace Treaty, where Hitler was invading Czechoslovakia and all these things. And they were arguing, they said, well, let him take it. Let's give him land so we can have peace. And Churchill says it's not about land. You don't understand. It's about a Nazi ideology. He says we've been given a choice between shame, that is giving Hitler land, and between war, take him out now. We have chosen shame, and we'll end up in war. No one in the world can argue now that Churchill was wrong.
That's right.
Can you argue that now? Why are we arguing the same scenario right now? We have a choice. We either take him out now, or we will have to take them out later on when they build their nuclear facilities in Iran, when Pakistan is taken over by a coup, which they have nuclear weapons already. Now what are you going to fight? Several battlefronts. It's going to be much bigger.
That's kind of in your book, isn't it?
Well, we talk about a lot of that, right. But Israel is going to have to go into Iran. They don't have any choice. If Iran gets close to the bomb, Israel cannot wait for the United Nations to wring their hands and have their meetings and their votes and their delays and their diplomacy. And Israel will not wait. I know that for sure. They will go in and they will take that out. Now, Pakistan, that's another thing. You got a coup there. You got an Islamic government takes over, and they do have the bomb, and they're sharing that with who knows what. It's we've got a bear by the tail.
In other words, the world's in a mess, and maybe it's time the Lord show back up.
And quickly.
Quickly. What's questions you got here?
Well, Art asked a good question. He says, Matthew 5:43 says we're to love our enemies. So how do we do that?
Well, we kill brother wolf until he stops eating sister sheep.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. If you can't get that message across, I don't know what else. We have a duty as a government in America is to protect the sheep, to protect the flock. Israel has a duty to protect its flock.
Yes, it does.
And you cannot protect the flock by saying, turn the other cheek to a wolf. Turning the other cheek has gone too far. God is telling us not to revenge. Do not seek revenge. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. But it is your duty as a husband to protect your wife and children if somebody breaks into the house. Okay, so if you say, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm supposed to love my enemy. Well, they rape your wife and they kill your children. Guess what? You have murdered your wife and your children.
Yes.
It is your job. It is your responsibility. And you are guilty of murder if you sit around as men and children being led to slaughter. The Bible clearly says that. Do not stand by
That's right.
when humans, beings are being led to slaughter.
That's right.
Well, that puts a nail in the coffin of replacement theology, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, Tommy. Got another?
Oh, yes,
You got a stack of them.
I do.
I thought we answered all the questions. I don't understand why
They
all
keep
these
coming in.
questions
They
coming
keep
in.
coming. What's your thought about our next president, and what can we expect to happen in America? That's a loaded one.
Well, if it's Hillary, I can tell you it's going to be bad. Anyway, I don't think it will be. I don't know if the Lord would let it go that far. I hope
know.
not. I don't even
He
want
gives
to be
us-
here. I want to leave in the rapture before then, but
He gives us the rulers
we
we,
may
You're
not
going
be
to be
able
an
deserve.
escapist out of that one.
we may not be able to. I don't know. My father used to say, I'm not looking for the undertaker, I'm looking for the upper taker. But
We've been looking for
unfortunately,
him.
the upper undertaker got him before the upper taker came. I'm still looking for the upper taker, but the undertaker might get me. I don't want to speculate about the
Do we
future.
send-
Waleed?
Well, I think eventually, this nation will have the right president. We might go through a series of bad presidents, but eventually, I believe that America will have, make the right choices once we're hit. I mean, come on, we're trying to give our loading docks to the enemy, which financed terrorism from the beginning. Once that happens and you're hit with dirty bombs, I think America will wake